The recent ONS conference held in Sunnyvale, California was a showcase for many established companies that are the leading lights in the world of SDN, NFV and OpenFlow. However, as might be expected of an event that took place in Silicon Valley, startups were also very well represented, and TelecomTV took the opportunity to have a few words with some of them. Bruce Gregory, the CEO of Corsa, made the point that whilst SDN is essentially a software-based technology, it nonetheless requires hardware to run on.
We produce what is really a disruptive enabling component in the whole evolution of the network to an SDN, to a software-defined network. And one of the key problems that we have right now is in order to implement these networks, there's a certain performance level that people don't talk about. It's kind of the elephant in the room of the hardware today currently can't deliver the performance. It doesn't deliver the scale, it doesn't deliver the flexibility, and in addition, it doesn't evolve well with the model of a network that is evolving over time. It's interesting to look at NFV and SDN and OpenFlow, and all three of those are models for delivering services, and all three of those are extremely disruptive. What we've got right now is the intersection of those three, and one of the points they intersect is on our data plane. It's the way to deliver those services. At some point in time, somebody actually has to move the bits in the network at speed, at scale, and that's really the solution that we provided, because the service providers have looked at their networks. They've looked at cloud computing. This is where a lot of it's coming from. They look at the elasticity and the service velocity in a cloud computing world and how fast you're able to deliver services, compute and storage services. They've turned around and said, we want to be able to deliver network services using that same model.
Jay Friedman, the CEO of Spark Integration Technologies, points out that SDN is still very much focused on the complex internal workings and requirements of the data center environment.
What we talk about is refining the network, or augmenting and enhancing what you already have. You don't need to throw away existing infrastructure. We're actually working with a company in Australia in terms of power utility system that they looked at what would have cost hundreds of millions of dollars of infrastructure to replace to bring it into sort of the new SDN world if they had to replace everything in terms of new age technology. That reduced down to, our component was very small, but their overall project reduced down to a few millions of dollars versus tens to hundreds of millions of dollars to replace their infrastructure. The main theme is simplicity. If you look at a number of the projects that our customers work on, they take months to deploy, and sometimes weeks to months to build the network infrastructure as they add applications, they add devices. And so they're looking for a much simpler model that reduces their time to market and reduces the overall cost of ownership to run these kind of applications. Because everyone's currently really focused on the data center. You look at VMware and Nicira or the NSX product, it's all focused on the data center. All of the vSwitch and controller work that's being done is all focused on the data center. What we bring is, how do you connect data centers to other data centers or connect data centers to other locations within an enterprise or a service private?
Mingshou Liu, the CEO of the Taiwanese SDN specialist Estinet, told me that as SDN matures, the availability of robust and flexible simulation and emulation software will be vital to the development of OpenFlow networks.
There are several requirements. First, the SDN OpenFlow is a new technology, so there's no ideal or perfect OpenFlow infrastructure. So this is the first. And secondly, for new technology, it's difficult to buy a bunch of equipment, so thousands of equipment you put in the lab. So the best way is doing the simulation to test the equipment before you can do the real deployment. That's the main purpose. I think the SDN is still evolving. That new concept, new features are still, and also some performance requirements is still improving. So we believe that during the next 1 or 2 years, they still have some new technology we have to prove.
And finally, Steve Garrison of PeakEight told me that his company is betting the farm on the likelihood that service providers will continue to want to buy hardware and software separately.
We are a network operating system company, so following the mainframe to PC transition that we see happening with SDN on the network side, we're betting the farm that the market will want to buy hardware and software separately, and by default that means you need operating systems to choose from to put on that bare metal. We work with OpenFlow and believe in the SDN model of a de-aggregated stack and external control planes and that type of thing. The reason that I'm going to hang my hat on open today is that we do have a standard being driven by over 110 companies that believe in a way to control hardware and software. That's OpenFlow. So if everybody agrees on the way to control, well, why wouldn't that go proprietary? In the past, the control plane was hidden and proprietary, and every vendor had a different implementation for IP and Ethernet technology. This time we're agreeing, again, from the top-down push from the carriers and the service providers, I want that bit to be open so I can control all of you the same way. It's a new standard for a new way of thinking. My guess is that we're not looking at a one-year dream or a two-year dream. This is a 10-year march, and the fact that we're agreeing on something that was really proprietary and truly differentiating for people, their control technology, is now becoming public and common, is a huge step.